Welcome to Called to Homeschool with your host, Meg Thomas. I am a mother of 7 with 5 homeschool graduates. Each week, we'll talk about real-life homeschool, mindset shifts, and practical tools you can use in your home. Because homeschooling isn't just about school, it's about restoring the family.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Called to Homeschool. I hope you enjoy my voice. I actually lost my voice this last weekend and I was a little sick, so I'm just happy I have a voice at all. So enjoy this because I'm really excited to dive into today's topic. I'm answering another question. These are so great. And this is from Alicia from Utah. And she says, I am just starting homeschooling. We are starting at the preschool level. How do you get them to repeat what you are saying back to you? I will read something to my daughter and I will ask her a question about it and she will tell me, I don't know. I will give her the answer and then read it to her again and see if she understands it. But when I ask, she says, I don't know. How can I better help her to listen? I know she's only 3.5 and I'm taking it at her pace. Just thought I would ask if you have any tips and tricks to help her get her to listen. And she says, thank you. Love the podcast. Thank you so much, Alicia. Let's dive in. So let's start here with that nothing is wrong. You have a 3.5-year-old and the fact that she is sitting and listening and engaging at all, that's awesome. That's already a win, right? And maybe it's not the type of engagement you were hoping for, but if she's sitting there listening with you, that's already awesome. So let's start with this first thought, and that is that she just might not be ready yet, and that's okay. So I am going to give ideas of how to teach this. But let's talk about whether or not she's actually ready for it. If she's ready for this skill. At 3.5, some kids are ready to start narrating a little, and some just aren't. And neither one is a problem, just like some kids crawl really young and some kids wait a little bit, right? Some kids are toilet trained at 2 and some are 5, right? Eventually they all get there. So we want to just make sure that we're not making this a problem. And so instead of asking yourself, like, why isn't she doing this yet? Try asking and really thinking about, is this a skill she's ready to learn right now? Because if she's not ready and we push it, then we can turn something beautiful like reading together into pressure. But if you feel like she is ready or almost ready, then these next tips are for you and for anybody else with their kids and helping them to be good listeners. So let's talk about what's age appropriate at 3 to 4 years old. So attention spans are short and processing takes time. Narration and repeating back what they have heard is just the beginning. So when she says, I don't know, it could mean that it doesn't mean that she didn't listen. It often means, I don't know how to answer that. So if you listen to the podcast, you know I am a big fan of Charlotte Mason philosophy. And we really want to do this from testing. And I'm not saying you're testing necessarily, but like maybe quizzing her to see if she's getting it. We want to make sure we're just going from testing to narrating. And Charlotte Mason never focused on quizzing kids. She focused on narration, but very gently, especially at this age. So instead of what was that about or what happened next, you could say something like, tell me something you remember. What was your favorite part? Show me with your hands what happened. This invites her instead of putting her on the spot. And we want to make it playful, especially at this age, not performance-based, so it can feel like connecting, curiosity, playing. So instead of trying to get the right answer, act it out, let her draw. Use her toys to retell it. Keep it light and short because the goal isn't to perfectly recall something. The goal is to engage. And I've done lots of podcast episodes on this, but short lessons, lots of times that helps our kids to become better listeners with short and sweet because we want to train their attention spans. So if she's losing focus or she's not doesn't know what's going on, right? It's usually just too long. So read less. Stop sooner or end while she is still interested. And we want to remember always that mindset shift because it's easy to think like she's not listening. Maybe you're worried like, will she listen to me? Will she get this? But instead of shifting it to some ideas of like she's learning how to listen because listening is just a skill. And right now she's in those basic stages of practicing. And for an older kid, right? You're like, well, my kid's older than this and they're still not listening. They don't have the skill yet. So take it down to these simpler lessons so that they can get the skill so that they can get better and better at listening longer and longer. You could also do things with this of like pictures and so that they don't feel like it's a quiz or pressure. But you could do an actual photograph, a picture, a painting of like, ooh, what do you see? What are the colors on there? What's fun about this, right? Or outside, like, I wonder if we can find any birds outside. look at this tree. Isn't this so interesting, right? Of just getting them to start noticing things. And we want to make sure that you're not accidentally training her to just say, I don't know, right? Because if every time she says, I don't know, and you jump in with the answer, you're accidentally teaching her is like, I don't have to think. I can just say, I don't know, and mom will do it for me. So instead, right, like you've tried some of these other ways to ask a question, and maybe she still says, I don't know. It's like, oh, that's okay. Let's think about this together. Or I wonder. Or let's look again. Give her space, even a few quiet seconds. So we're not trying to create a child who answers perfectly, but what we're trying to do is what I'm trying to build is a child who can pay attention, a child who can think, a child who engages and enjoys learning. And that takes time. So you don't need to push her to prove she's learning or to make sure she's answering in a certain way. We want to just create an environment where she loves to learn. And at this age, you're not just measuring what they know, you're nurturing their ability to pay attention. And that takes time. All right, friends, thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I hope to see you next week.
Thanks so much for listening to Call to Homeschool. If today's episode was helpful, the best way you can support the show is by leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps more homeschool moms find this work, and I appreciate it so much.